I don't know how you're doing caffeine late at night.
Oh, I could drink a Red Bull and go to sleep. It's bad. It's bad. What are you drinking?
This is passion flower tea.
Passion flower tea.
Yeah.
Does that increase passion?
Ooh, we'll find out.
We might edit this out.
Actually, it's supposed to calm
Calm.
the body. So, I don't know, midway through this, I might be passed out.
So, you brought up a question, and I think it's a good one, because I have friends of mine, close brothers even, who asked this question.
So it's not just women?
No, I don't think it's just women. Hopefully, we can kind of get roll into and try to remember what train of thought kind of like we were in.
Yeah.
But the question is, this is a golden question, and I feel like a lot of people may resonate, and hopefully you're blessed or you get something out of it too. But the question is, I always struggle with, the golden question is, I can't even read. How much, go ahead, you do it.
You go ahead.
She was going to be a news anchor, and I think everybody would watch the news more if you were.
Oh, good.
Okay, here's the question. How much do I do and how much do I fall back and trust?
Yes.
So there's this line of how much effort do you put in versus how much to where it's like, okay, I gotta stop, and I've done all that I could. Now I have to trust.
Right.
So that's what we're going to dive into.
Okay.
Right. So talk about a little bit with what your struggle is. Why is that such a struggle for you in terms of?
I think it's like it's the daily walk every day, just not being able to discern at times. How much effort do I put behind something and how much do I just trust like, oh, the Lord is going to provide a way, you know what I mean? And because there have been times I've like witnessed in my own life, like literally he just lined everything up and I just.
It's almost effortless, right?
Yeah, exactly. But there are other things that I had to work hard for, you know?
Sure.
So that's it's confusing for me, and we actually talked about this. Some ladies and I, on our Wednesday mornings, I get together with some ladies for Bible study. And it's funny that you're saying that this is something that your brethren talk about or struggle with, because I just presumed this was like a woman issue, considering the fact that I think women have a hard time with control.
Well, it's part of a curse.
It's part of our curse.
So I said eight items. Yes, but go ahead. I feel like I could dive into that a little bit more, but go ahead.
I mean, I just feel like this is kind of a common thread for us that I've been noticing, just in my conversations with other women, is that, we tend to want to have control.
So what's an example, would you say? Is there something that comes to mind or something or an event that maybe recently has happened that where you feel like you are exhausting all of your efforts and you don't know when to quit? When do you feel, is there a time where you feel like you were forcing something and it's kind of like starting to, really starting to weigh on you?
Right.
Do you have anything off the top of your head?
I mean, this is such a, I don't know. I don't know if this is a good example, but I mean, it's something that I remember when I was battling. Do you remember with the whole rental property? And I became consumed with this thing of who we're going to work
you're a machine.
with. Yeah, who are we going to work with? Making sure we got a tenant in there. It was a new business endeavor for Tony and I. And I felt like, he's really busy during the day with work and stuff like that. So I kind of took it as looking at it as my
You took point. Yeah. You took point on it.
It was oh, well then, let me take the responsibility of figuring out how we're going to make this lucrative, And I think I became really consumed with it. You know what I mean? Just trying to put it listed here and there on Zillow and I don't know, contacting people and trying to figure out people we can work with. And, but then I realized that, it really was causing me almost sleeplessness sometimes.
Right.
Just because I think I'm always afraid of making a mistake, making a wrong decision, making sure that I've thought it through 3 times over and done my homework and,
It's not just 3 times.
Oh, okay, maybe 10.
30. 3 times 10, yeah. So now that's just like, say, this is just an example in terms of making a decision with something that may be lucrative.
Yeah.
You're saying like real estate,
Right.
or something like
I
that.
don't know why. That was like the first thing that popped into my head when.
Now, even when it comes down to, let's say, even dealing with another person, right? So you can be trying hard, let's say, on yourself to be, let's say, if I were to use myself as an example, I would try. I'm trying my hardest to be the best husband and the best father.
Sure.
And you can get so engrossed in all the things that you feel like you have to do because you have all these different ideas on what that looks like.
Sure.
And I feel like that can be blindsided by or overcome when you start focusing too much on doing and not just enjoying it.
Right.
And now you have a problem here because now you're executing so many tasks. Like, I want to be a father who provides all of the fun and extracurriculars for my kids.
Right.
So you're grinding at work to get the money to be able to do all these things. You put them on all these extracurricular activities and doing all the great stuff, and you just lavishing them with all these things, but you never actually took the time to enjoy them in doing that.
Right.
Or because you've spent more of your time getting the things and not enough time enjoying the things.
Exactly.
Or I say things, but enjoying them.
The relationship.
Yeah. So I think there's a balance that's
Sure.
there, right?
Sure. Well, I guess then because then it brings to question, like, what are you trying to live up to? Obviously, like, I think what you're describing then is that you've made it up in your mind. I know this is just a scenario.
And continuing with the
you've
example.
made it up in your mind that this is what it means to be a good dad, I guess. And so for you, you're going to channel all your energy and money and everything to providing those experiences and lavishing them with, nice things and things like that, because that's what you have made up in your mind is what makes you a good father, And
I love that video also, that there was one time, I think you shared a video with me. I can't remember, and I'm going to paraphrase this, and I'm going to butcher it.
Yeah.
But kids don't care about the things that they get from you.
Right.
They don't care. It's from the time you walk through the door, nothing matters.
Yeah.
They just want your attention.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I was like, man, that is like so good.
Right.
To be able to understand that nothing in the world matters, but when they ask you these questions, like, "Hey, look what I did," and it was just like, "Look, let's can I go and do this? Can we go out and do that?" It's like they're always asking these questions of, "I want to spend time with you."
Exactly.
And in our minds, we want to give them things.
Yeah.
And really, what they're asking for is that they're asking for us to give them ourselves.
Yeah.
And
our time and attention.
Time and attention.
You know what's interesting is because last night when we had some people over, we were discussing that about like our childhood and stuff like that. And it's so interesting that the memories that they have of do you remember they were sharing about like the times they felt that their parents weren't present for like games or things like that. That has stuck with them for years.
Yeah, for well over decades
exactly,
now. You know what I mean? It's stuck
and
with
they're
them.
not talking about like my parents didn't get me the newest, Nintendo or whatever.
Right.
That's not what
they never complained. They didn't give me the brand new Xbox when it came out.
Exactly.
Well, when we were growing up, it was like what, the brand new Sega Genesis or Game Cube or 64 or something like that. Showing my age now, but
I remember all that.
You remember all those?
Super Nintendo.
Yeah, Super Nintendo. Was
that before your time?
No, it was around. We're not going to discuss our...
I'm just a couple of years older than him, so it's like a running joke between us two.
I'm learning. But, man, we got off track.
I'm sorry.
Where are we?
Oh, but it was just, we were talking about all that children really care about is your attention.
Yeah, they want your time.
Yeah.
So, this is just like another field, right, that we're talking about. So there's
like
things that...
How much do I do?
How much do I do? Versus how much do I trust? And I think there's this personal awareness that you have to be able to look yourself in the mirror. And this is, I feel like you and I get to these points,
yeah,
and we still feel like we're at a dead end, and where you You have to be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, I've done all that I could, right? And be okay with that. And the thing is, it's like, where I feel like, not to put your business out,
Yeah.
but I feel like the problem that you have is the being okay with that part.
Yeah.
Because you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I've done all that I could, but what else can I do? Or what more can I do? Or I haven't done all that I could.
That's where
Okay.
the issue is
I
that
haven't.
I don't know
If I've done
everything that I could, because
Right.
I feel like there's always something I could have done. And I think that's the perfectionist
Right.
in me, that is like, it is a bottomless pit in
Mhm.
terms of like how many avenues I'll go down, trying to find a solution or, figure it out or whatever.
Mhm.
And it's,
So how do we fix this? And I think this is one of the answers that we were coming to. And I think
Yeah.
this is where, like, man,
yeah.
I mean, but now this is just my take on it. And I think this is a good conclusion that we came to.
I think it's
know,
a great conclusion.
But I would say, if I were to judge whether or not, how much do I do, and versus how much where do I do, where I just need to stop and trust,
Yeah.
fit this in all the scenarios, is we called it fruit awareness.
Right.
Now, if you're going back to the looking in the mirror scenario, I've done all that I could, or I don't know if I've done all that I could. I would say, do a self-analysis of, are you miserable? Are you exhausted? Exhausted can be twofold, meaning like, I am exhausted of everything that I've done.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an indicator.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Okay, so I've done the best that I could. If you're at the point of exhaustion, don't continue,
Right.
because a person who's completely exhausted, it's almost like driving a car or a truck, you know what I mean, or a bus.
Yeah.
Like, RV trip is still in my mind. Yeah, this is my.
And that's literally what it looks like when you drive. We have an RV. That's what it looks like and it's like you hit a bump.
Yep, like an Indian movie. Just kidding. I had to say it.
Oh my God.
When you are, it's like, say if you're driving a bus or you're driving a truck or something like that, and you're actually exhausted, the worst thing to keep doing is just to keep pushing it and just like, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep going. And that's a pride thing. You're pushing yourself past your bodily limit. Your body's telling you, like, enough.
Right.
So there's bodily, psychological, emotional indicators that I think it's important for a person to know. So when I say fruit awareness, it's like, so I base the fruit awareness based off of what it tells us in Philippians. Is it Philippians? Galatians, the 9 fruits, right? So it's love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, goodness, and self-control.
Right.
Those are 9 fruits of the Spirit. And those are good fruits. And even if I weren't to sit here and make this a biblical thing, which I think it's absolutely pertinent to make it a biblical thing, but if I were not to, and just like, I think we can all agree, those are good things for somebody to have. Love, joyfulness, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, goodness, being faithful. I mean, all these things are good things. When you start seeing these things ferment, or these things are starting to be malnourished and they're not getting the nutrients they need because you're not producing that's where I feel like you're done. You're done. So let's plug you into being, let's say, a mom. You're doing everything you can in homeschooling the kids, making sure they have a healthy diet, making sure they're getting exercise, making sure they're getting the best possible education that you can provide them, making sure that they're being reared up spiritually, making sure they're being well taught, making sure they have playtime, make sure you're giving them the time that you feel like you're dividing yourself in threes and making sure I want to give each one of them individual time. Right. And then you realize in the assessment that I'm not measuring up. 4 different ways. Pardon me. You realize you're not measuring up and you're holding yourself to the stellar perfected standard. And the thing is like, one, you have to come to grips with, you're not going to achieve perfection. Right. Nobody does. So give yourself some grace there. Right?
Sure. I think there was something that it was a really good point you had brought up. This was a while back when we had talked about how, like, I feel like I have to be so play for me is really hard. But I do work at it because, it's important.
And there's, go ahead.
Yeah. But, so we have I'll give an example that, like, my daughter, she is really crafty. And so she enjoys, like, doing lots of, like, I don't know, crafty things. She loves art, and it's just not my forte. But
How do you do paper like this?
yeah,
It looks fine.
that's exactly how it is. But anyway, so I think about and I beat myself up because like I feel like at times I want to be able to I don't know, be better at that. Yeah, but you had brought up a really good point that this is why having community is so important because you weren't intended to be all those things, you know. So like that would be the skill set of another mother or you know
Just another person within your group.
yeah,
You know what I
within
mean?
your
Like,
community.
I'm not the funnest guy. I try.
Yeah.
I try to have fun and all.
Yeah,
But
you are.
we have people in our family who are really fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
We have the funkle.
we have the funkle. And you know who you are. You know, and that and they thrive on that and they love it. And he is just a natural at it. He just loves it. It's
Exactly.
like something that he's just naturally good
It's
at.
the kids in that
In that
their,
place.
Yeah,
And
in their arena.
you gotta love that about him. You know what I mean? I wish I don't know if he knows that. Because I was like, what is it do I give my kids? And I don't know what I am where I fall in terms of like this is what I kind of like provide or whatever. Anyway, but
There's many things, but go ahead.
anyway, I'm not making this about me, but what I'm saying is that this set of community where this I get narrative. I feel like this is another topic we can get into, but this whole narrative that everyone's isolated in their own little kingdom with their private fences up,
Right.
and this is their own little world,
Right.
and that's it.
Yeah.
And go anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, just go right on the other side of the planet.
Right.
It is so community driven.
Right.
There's so much
Of course, yeah.
peopling going on.
And that's just their way of life. So I feel like the reason why we find families that are so burnt out, moms and dads that are like stressed out and kids that may be rebelling against them or whatever, is just because like there isn't enough hands, you know what I mean, involved in the home that like, you know, can help with whatever needs to be done. And because it's basically just upon, you know, sometimes it's even a single parent, you know, that has to take care of everything, you know, but like upon the mother and father to make sure like everything is done within the home. Like all the all the needs are met for the children, but also the household chores and the cooking and the cleaning and, you know, all that stuff, making sure, you know, everything is maintained. The cars are maintained and, you know, lawn is maintained and it is a juggling act that for two
constantly
people
putting all these like different hats on.
Exactly. So then you feel like you're falling short in certain areas and you beat yourself up because it's like, oh man, I could be doing better in this or whatever, but we just don't have time.
Right.
So back to your point about like how important community is, you know, like I think if we're all working together, you know, it helps alleviate some of that pressure,
Right.
you know, to.
And I kicked a dog as I walked by on this point, but some people may feel like, and I'm not by no means would I cast any shade on it, but I just feel like sometimes when we just schlup our kids along to like, let's say a system, whether it be in the public school system or something like that, and they rely on that to be the community aspect of it.
Right.
But there's a sense of personal involvement that's lacking there. Like I've noticed like a lot of families that were tight knit, that where their parents, their job was like with the school, and then they're involved, and then they have like this. They see their kids and they're in it and all this other stuff. But I mean those to me that's a much more rare occurrences that you have because everybody have these different you know, professions and careers, so that doesn't always fit. A little bit of a tangent there, but I think getting back to the whole how much do I do versus how much do I just stop and trust is I think you have to be aware of your state and your fruit, being aware of the fruit that you're bearing right now. So if you are getting snappy and getting short and your fuse is this big, you have no patience, you're lacking in your self-control and all this other stuff, that means you are overstimulated and spent. So hey,
cut it off.
Time to cut it. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that's interesting to where
what happens if it's like really short fuse?
If it's a really short fuse,
you wake up like that.
Well, you got to work on that. That's something that's like you're aware of that. You wake up with a really short fuse. I think everybody wakes up with a short fuse until they have a cup of coffee or just like I just need my me time real quick. Let me warm the engines up, as my dad would say, then I can get into my day. But I think having this sense of personal awareness of what's being done. And something I wanted to also say is, it's interesting how the Lord said that he prunes the righteous, like the people that are doing the things
Sure.
right. And there's a principle there
Yeah.
where it's when I say you have to cut it off.
Yeah.
So like you're bearing fruit.
Yeah.
Let's say you got your love, joy, your peace, your patience, your self-control. You have all of that, and you're bearing it, and then it starts to get everyone's eating from your eating your patience, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
and then you know what?
Cut it.
Time to cut it.
Mm.
And then what happens when it cut? The fruit, the nutrients can go to other parts of the plant. For this can also grow back. And then okay, now I got my patience back. But you have to cut it off. So if we were to go full circle and go back to you looking yourself in the mirror, and say, have I? It's like, you should be able to say, I've done all that I could because you've spent your fruit.
Yeah.
I've always, and one of my mentors, I thought it was good. He said, always leave enough in the tank.
Right.
And I think that's important for everybody who works outside of their home. Like I travel my job when I'm coming back. I think it's important to where you exhaust your resources, like your fruit, your joy, your patience, your kindness, your self-control. You exhaust all of that in your workplace. But it's unfair to your family if you exhaust all of it.
Sure.
And then you come home and you're like,
you're spent. Yeah.
I don't have any fruit to give.
Sure.
That's unfair. So
Sure.
and he told you leave enough in the tank.
Exactly.
So if you get to a point at work where I've had enough or whatever, hey, like I don't want to say distance yourself, but just like, hey, just sit in your cubicle or just like get in the zone, organize something, or just be in the zone and just kind of discipline yourself to where it's like I'm getting to a place that I know I'm almost spent, and I need to leave enough in the tank because when I come through that door, there's going to be 4 kids and a wife who are going to demand my attention.
Sure.
And that's all they want, right? And I think
Now,
that's so important. Good.
Is there something that you think you could be doing maybe on the car ride home, or I don't know, something to help refuel yourself before coming back home? Or you think like once
I try to treat myself. I mean, are you asking me personally? Or are you just saying
you or in general?
So I can't counsel people the way I handle myself because it may not work for them,
Well,
but
you can share what works for you.
I try to reward myself with something that I enjoy, where it's like music helps me.
Right.
I like to find a release. I haven't done it in forever and a day, but sparring was a wonderful release. I can't do that while I'm driving home.
Right.
Actually, that would be a really amazing idea.
When you're driving home?
If there's like a carpool that's an 18-wheeler truck and you can actually spar while it's moving, that'd be cool. I'd sign up for that.
You'd be like thrown all over.
Yeah, come into a screeching halt. Make it padded.
Right.
You know what I mean? But anyway, where was I going with that? So sparring is a huge release for me. I really enjoy. I like to fight. I like to do that stuff. Some people it's for the gym. Some people it's like they have to have some kind of recenter or time, And for somebody who's like rumping for like 10 hours, 12 hours a day doing construction, that's probably not the first thing on their mind.
Right.
But like I would say, in the words of your sister, treat yourself. You know what I mean? Treat yourself to something that's gonna, get you back, relaxed, and all this other stuff. Music is that's what I do. I'll usually listen to music. I'll listen to the word.
Yeah.
I'll find if there's like a teaching or something, I just like to muse on. It's like reading.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like to exhaust myself with, deep thoughts and getting to things like that. So.
Well, I sometimes think like the self-care stuff, like people talk about that so much now, about like doing these things for yourself and stuff.
Right.
And there's a place for that.
There is a place, yeah.
But I think the most beneficial way to refuel, like I found for myself, is that like when I get alone with the Lord, and, you know what I mean, and just like have this dialogue between He and I feel like the perspective shift. I feel like, okay, now I have the energy or like the clarity to come back at something or and feel.
You feel calibrated.
Recalibrated.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
No,
But no, I think all those things you mentioned are good too.
I mean, even ebooks. Some people if there's something that's going to cause you for growth, and listening to an ebook on the way home. Sure. But like or talking to somebody that is a joy to you. You know what I mean? Like I think every Tuesday I talk to my dad.
Yeah.
You know, and that's because that's his Friday,
Right.
and I'm just starting my week, and it's just
Yeah.
something like that. You know what I mean? Don't I would try to refrain from things that are going to be more stressors.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
if talking to a person, you're like, I don't feel like talking to them.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Just don't do it. Discipline yourself to not do that.
Right.
If you know someone's going to bring drama, if you know someone's going to talk about something or something like, don't get into that. I think everybody knows.
Yeah.
Everyone knows somebody who, when they see that phone, they're like,
energy drainers.
you know what I mean? Here we go. You know.
Yeah.
I bet I have been surprised sometimes, but
Yeah.
more often than not, your conscience is telling you your gut's right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I would avoid stressors as much as you can.
Yeah.
You know, to get ready. The question is like, what can you do to get ready
Sure.
for that? But you should be leaving some in the tank already.
Right.
You shouldn't have to try to refuel real quick within.
Right.
You know, I drive for well over an hour to get home.
Right.
So I'm not trying to cram all of that within. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
there was something I listened to today that I thought was interesting because on the topic of like people who drain you of energy, this woman was explaining how she used to work in the hotel industry, and I guess she was a receptionist, and somebody had walked in, and she said, mind you, he came 12 hours prior to his check-in time, and the room was not ready. And this guy demanded not only that they give him a room, but they upgrade his room. And then he handed her a credit card and he slid it over, like, you know, to go ahead and pay for the room. And he was like, make this happen. And called her some explicit word, which I'm not going to say right now. But
called her a name.
Called her a name, right. But to which she pushed back the credit card and she said, I don't receive that, and walked away. So then she said her coworker walked up to her and was like, how come you didn't like address anything that he said to you, or the fact that like he called you that name? And she was like, because I will not spend my energy. And she said, that is valuable to me.
Your energy.
My energy. Yeah. Like my.
I only get so much a day.
Exactly. So talk about like making sure
you leave enough in the tank.
Leave enough in the tank, right? So like how much are you choosing to expend on people who are like maybe causing drama, or like, you know what I mean? Or just, I don't know, you got those negative Nancy's at the workplace, or like even the things that may be compounding in terms of like your workload or whatever. How much energy are you going to be putting towards those things? And I don't know, I just thought that was like such a good mindset to have of like, I just simply say, I don't receive that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not
doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, what?
Exactly.
You know, we can do that? It's like, you know.
Without even like having to address this, you know, that kind
Well,
of
I think it would be fun to plug that in
Yeah.
to something that people may struggle with.
Yeah.
Is in the workplace, if we're using the same scenario, you're met with these stressors and these things that you know that are going to expend your energy.
Sure.
People that may feel like they're a machine.
Yeah.
People who overwork themselves
Sure,
and
sure.
just they can't say no.
Right.
So they got to do is say,
Right.
hey, I need this report done. Hey, can you say, hey, I need this room, make it happen, and also and the thing is, they can't tell themselves no.
Right.
Like they can't be like, I don't receive it. They can't
Right.
make this action.
Right.
So what happens
So
here?
you be the person to. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Like if they're requiring something of you, then you'll be like, okay, well.
No, I guess what I'm getting into is that you're making you have to every day you're making you have to make conscious decisions.
Right.
Do I want to spend my energy on that? Do I want to spend my energy on that? Do I want to spend my energy on that? That question is repeated
Sure.
a million times
Right.
throughout the day. And if you lack the ability to say no,
Right.
like, do I want to spend my energy on that? To be able to go, no, I don't want to spend my energy on that.
Right.
Because some people can, when they're met with something, they feel like if they can do it,
They will.
they will do it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, slow down.
Yeah.
You know, slow down, because you're going to realize that's going to catch up to you.
Sure.
And you're going to be spent. And even like say, you do everything, you spent yourself at work, you get home, and then you got all this other stuff, and then you keep pushing yourself.
Yeah.
By the time everything is done, and let's say it's like we have our hour together at night or something like
Yeah.
that, what are you going to feel like doing?
You're
I don't feel like doing anything.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Just like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Or I got to, and then now imagine how many people are doing things like that to where this causes problems in marriages where they're not making, because they just do, and they never take. Hey, you got to learn how to say no,
Right.
and audit and discipline your time and energy into the places that matter. You know what I mean? If you're treating your life like a garden,
Right.
water the plants that are important to you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
and like and you only have so much water in your cistern for the day. What are you going to water?
Right.
But if it's like all the weeds and everything come up out of the woodwork, you're just sitting there like,
Yeah.
it's like it's not even 9 o'clock yet, and you're just like, you got like a less than a quarter tank. I mean, you're just gonna run yourself dry.
And I think it's important to assess like your core values, because then that will help you to determine like where you're going to really invest your time and energy. So if your family is very important to you, and let's say you're not giving it your all, you're going to get checked because you're going to feel like crap for not, you know what I mean, for
Right.
not investing that time and energy, because that your family is something that you value.
Right.
You know what I mean? Some people, it might be their work, you know.
So what do you say about the person who guilts themselves into them not being able to say no, right? And they're exhausting themselves. And I think this is where we get to that question, the golden question.
Sure.
How much do I do? Like, how much do I got to keep doing, and versus where do I got to stop and trust?
Right.
And I know that question is kind of like in the context where, like if we, like our endeavor,
Making a big decision.
making a big decision,
Yeah.
and it's like, how much research do I have to do about
Right.
picking the right property, getting the build plans, how I'm going to do, and all this other stuff. And it's just like, you can go crazy.
Sure.
Whereas if you just take the action,
Yeah.
you might be surprised on how much things just fall in place for you. And I think that's
that was a video actually that,
you know,
that I had posted when we were down there. That's so funny you're saying that, because that was exactly what I had shared.
oh, is
Just make the step.
right? Is this
and
the
then the Lord
crayon?
will meet you
Was this
in it.
with the crayon?
Yeah.
I saw the crayons. I saw.
Yeah.
them. I was asleep actually when that
No,
was
no,
going.
it was like 6 o'clock in the morning.
But
Yeah. So go ahead.
it's no. Go ahead. What were we going to say?
No. Continue on.
We're touring now.
No, please.
No, please, no you. No, please, no you. I love you more.
Only the Persians. Only the Persians would know what we're
I
talking
had to learn what that meant. I was like, what is that? Look, we do all that and forget where we were. Help me.
about. Okay.
I'm just enjoying too much. I'm enjoying you too much.
I'm trying to remember. My goodness, I'm sorry. Okay, you're saying that like about trust. Okay, so bringing us back to when we ask that question, oftentimes it's for like when we're making like a big decision, like a life
Right.
decision. And
Oh, so I think I guess feel like this could be a different caveat. This could be probably a different episode. I guess you guys can leave a comment if you want us to dive into it. We probably will anyway, but
we'll
when-
do it if you want to or not.
I feel like when you come to like big life decisions, I feel like maybe not always big life decisions. When you're unsure and you don't know, sometimes I would say action is going to dictate a lot of results. You know what I mean? And I think one big question that a lot of people have, and I think a lot of people get crossed up on it, and it resonated with me when I heard the answer to the question was, but a lot of people get crossed up with like, Lord, I just want to know what you want me to do with my life. I want to be in the Lord's will. I don't care what it is. As long as I'm in his will, that's all that matters.
Right.
And I think if we really look back at his will is our sanctification,
Right.
when you look up everything about what he wants for us,
Right.
no one's satisfied with that answer.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, so what do I do? We want like direct instruction. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I want you to do this. I want you to do that. And
Because
it's like,
we think that like there's some kind of specific game plan for our life, and if we're not following it to a T,
and we get all of the details and manuals and
Exactly.
like each detail, you know what I mean? Like even if it's down to like IKEA quality, at least I can read and understand. It's
Right.
and if there's anything that I've understood, the answer to that question was like, what do I do? Is I loved when I learned this was, what do you want to do? And that's a really tough, that's a good question because like, well, and now it's forcing you to look into how he made me. What makes, but like, I have a heart for children. I have a heart for the widow and the orphan. You know what I mean? I have a heart for women who were abused. I have a heart for. I mean, these are things that make me resonate. I have a heart for being a warrior. I
Yeah.
have a heart for. I can start this like this. Like right now, you're seeing this is these are. I custom built you.
Yeah.
Now go. Now it's like, all right, now how do I do that? Now I'm not going to sit here and say that I hate to be drastic with this, but like I'm not going to open a strip club for only for single moms. You know what I mean? That's like, well, that's going
Yeah,
against
obviously.
what I.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now my core values and the things that I read in scripture and how these are now my this is how I'm to be calibrated, and my compass is right, and it's forcing me to think in how I can do things to the highest moral purpose
Sure.
of my being,
Sure.
and that's living, man. I mean,
Sure.
like if I felt, or if we felt we were in a ministry, or if we were in some type of program, or if we were with a community that was like, I can stand behind that.
Yeah.
That's filling, you know,
Yeah.
and so it's the question really comes down to if you are ultimately wanting to know what is God's will for your life, ask yourself, what do you want to do? Because I think a good father, because I would ask my kid, a good father doesn't tell his kid what he's going to be when he grows up.
Yeah.
A good father watches his kid, and it's like, he's not, it's, what do you want to do, bud? What do you want to do? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just like, I want to be an astronaut. I was like, all right, let's try that out.
Yeah.
Take the actions.
Right.
And a good father is with you.
Yeah.
But he's not going to sit there and make you take your helmet off when you're in space or something.
Sure.
He's going to try and like, we don't do that.
Right.
Make sure you learn everything that you need to learn.
Right.
And
to prepare you for
right.
that. Yeah.
Right. So if we were to look at life knowing that we had a really awesome, amazing, perfect father, we would look at it a lot different. And I think we would live a lot differently. And it's taking the actions
Yeah.
and realizing that dad's there. Dad's there with us, you
Yeah.
know? And yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I think a lot of it too could be stemmed to the fact that like we've all had imperfect, all of us. You could have had like a wonderful, set of parents and upbringing and all that stuff, but
they fall short
but
somewhere.
they still fall short
Yeah,
in some ways.
we all do.
So
right?
that's the
Yeah.
problem. I think
Yeah.
like we're dealing with a very fragmented idea of what a good father looks like, and so there may be a lot of that questioning about like I don't know, trying to live up to some kind of expectation or something like that. Maybe because that, I don't know, maybe there was some kind of expectation placed on you when you were younger or even into adulthood and stuff. And so then we translate that to our relationship with God and believe that like, he has these expectations. He does have what he likes and dislikes as we learn from the word.
Well,
and stuff,
you said he has parameters.
Parameters.
This
Right.
this is what's good and what's not good.
Right.
If you do what's not good,
Right.
it's going to hurt.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is not going to. You're reaping what you sow, right?
Sure.
So I don't want you to sow something bad.
Sure.
I want you to do something good.
Right.
You know what I mean? And these are the things that are good.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're making a great point. I think you're making a great point there. And when you're talking about us being able to conceive what a good father really is, the scriptures tell us what kind of father he is. And when you talk about meeting that standard, I feel like we can conceive in our minds perfection.
Yeah.
But we can't conceive in our minds the attainment of it. You know what I mean? Because it's like never ending.
Of course.
You're always going to think this better,
Yeah.
better,
Yeah.
better,
Because
better,
it's true.
better. Right. And there's no end to
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You're just
yeah.
better, better. And you can't leave well enough alone. You're
Right.
just like, everything's going to be better.
Yeah.
Better. Now, God is infinite. So there is none of that. He satisfies all
Yeah.
of those things. We're fruit that is dependent upon the nutrients that we get, and where we're trying to bear our patience. He's long suffering.
Yeah.
He's the one who's got the patience of,
Yeah.
yeah, a day is 1,000 years, 1,000 years is a day to him. It don't matter. You know what I mean? He's got patience. And he's the epitome of all of these things. And we are not. If there's anything that we learned on this side of the veil, it's like we are not him.
Right.
And he is our father. He is perfect. And he is the source actually of our values and our strength and our morals, and he's our good dad who has taught us all this stuff, and oh man, I feel like we're diving in so many different avenues, and I hope we don't scatter too much.
Well, no, but going back to what you were saying about like a good dad and us wanting to learn what his will is for us, just remembering that he'll meet us in what is it, and what we want to do. You know
Yeah,
what I
he
mean?
made you a certain way.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? It's like there's things that there's attributes about you that I know that just sing in your heart. You know what I mean? Your musical talent. I think you have a you have a fairness. You know, right?
Could be to my demise, but
But these are things that
yeah,
you weigh out, right?
yeah.
Because like we're the masters of extremes where that could be something to your detriment. Yes, if you go too far and it's now you're not aware of your fruit. Like if you being so I'm always want to be fair.
Mm.
But if that's driving you to be miserable,
Mm.
you're going too far.
Sure.
Right? So you got to
Fruit
relax.
awareness.
You got right.
Yeah.
You got to break off, relax, let it go.
Mm.
So I can't let it go. And it's like you don't want to, and you have, and I understand that. None of us want to let it go.
Yeah.
But to be able to like, I can't. The more I hold on to this, the more I'm going to lose.
Mm.
You know, and yeah, caffeine might be kicking in,
Yeah.
but I could still fall asleep.
We'll see.
I just shake my leg.
Oh goodness, yeah. The whole bed's like, here we go again.
I'm not going to say it this time.
Okay. Moving on.
We can't
So,
now.
is this where we wrap it up?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay. Well, hopefully, we usually do this like a one-liner or
Mhm.
just some way to, in summation.
It's never a one-liner. We can't. But it's like if you want to know when to quit something you feel like maybe pushing, or if you're having trouble of understanding how far you've gone, or I'm sorry, if you have trouble understanding what did I do all that I could, right?
Right.
If you have a trouble answering that question, I would say audit and have I don't know, fruit awareness is like, are you becoming miserable? Are you impatient? Are you getting snappy with the people you love?
Right.
Are you becoming critical of the people you love? You know what I mean? Are you starting to entertain and doing things you wouldn't normally do?
Mm.
Like you're slamming 7 drinks on a school night. You know what I mean? You really shouldn't be doing that.
Mm.
You know, because you're stressed and you're just like I just need to escape. You know what I mean? You're trying to fill things.
Sure.
If you're starting to notice something's wrong,
Yeah.
you know, and you got to be able to cut it, and you got to be able to discipline yourself to where I need to be aware that I'm low on my patience, got chill, or I'm low on my goodness,
Yeah.
got chill.
And then
No.
would there be, I guess, some kind of like reflection? Let's say you're aware at the end of the day that I am spent, I am burnt out,
Mhm.
So would it be helpful then to reassess like what areas it was throughout your day that like really drained you, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
audit your
audit.
you have to be I mean we have these indwelt like I don't have to tell my body when I'm being stressed out. My
Mm.
body tells me, hey, I'm starting to get
Yeah.
stressed.
Yeah.
And it's just being more in tune to that. Like, all right, I'm starting to get a little stressed out.
Mm.
So, hey, take 5.
Yeah.
Don't push yourself to where it's like, no, I got to get it done. You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't push yourself. Stop. You know, and you actually end up being a better
Yeah.
person, you know, whether it be in a workplace, at home, with your spouse,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
You know, you're a better person when you're able to just
Take a step.
back.
Yeah.
But nobody likes taking a step back because, like, all right, we got to keep
Moving forward.
moving forward
Yeah.
and everything. Well,
Yeah.
then I think this goes back to, was it episode 3, 4? Or what was it? When I was
About
talking?
like don't rush through.
Yeah,
it.
don't rush through it.
Yeah.
I mean, no, the point of music is not to get to the end of the song.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's like, it's enjoy it.
Well, you
You know what I
gotta remember that we live in a very highly
A high pace.
high efficient, I don't know, culture where like you have to be hyper productive, and
Mhm.
just making, like, you think about all these YouTube videos and things like that about like the cheat code to being a productive person, and all that stuff. And I don't know about you guys, maybe it works for some people, but me, I am trying to simplify and dial back from all of that.
Yeah, that's
and
stressful,
that
man.
is so stressful to me. But there's there's
Isn't it so cool when, like, you go to, like, some of these resorts and, like, we remember that, I think when we went horseback riding on our honeymoon, it was
yeah
was it Punta Cana?
Punta Cana, yeah.
And like you see some of the locals there.
Yeah. They don't look in a rush.
They're not in a rush to go and like they do what they gotta do.
Right. Yeah.
Mañana.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like,
okay, it didn't happen
oh,
today.
You know what I mean?
Tomorrow.
And
Yeah.
like I know there's some cultures where it's like from like noon to 2, it's
Yeah.
siesta.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
take a nap, go
Yeah.
home, see your
Yeah.
family, you know what I mean?
So I watched this video
Nothing to do
about how oh,
it.
that is
Recharge.
true. You get your second win. But
You take leave for the rest of the
that's
day.
probably more likely what's gonna happen. But
You ought to do
they're-
that.
I think they're probably clued in what we're talking
They
about.
got this new microphone, they probably did.
It's like picking up every.
I'm derailing you. I'm sorry.
No, but the video was talking about how like kind of this is like the Wu Wei thing, be fluid.
Mhm.
So live life according to the seasons,
Mhm.
right? So we have seasons of life,
Mhm.
right? Like we're parents. This is a season of life we're in, but we also have seasons of life like winter, summer, spring, and fall.
Mhm.
So winter, what time does it usually get dark? Around
5.
Yeah, 5,
You know, yeah.
6, whatever. That actually is like an indication to us too. Okay, this is our wind down time. You know what I mean? Like, apparently from this video, people back in the day were sleeping 11 hours at night.
I don't know if I can't tell you when the last time.
I don't.
When did we
remember.
ever get like 9 hours or
No.
8 hours of sleep?
That's like unheard of.
I pushed it a couple times recently. I was like, I'm
But
just
imagine
not
if we
doing
went to bed at the same time our kids did. We would.
it. That would be yeah, that would be around 10, 11 hours.
Yeah.
But when after the kids go down, that's like we make that our time.
Right.
'Cause
But that's also
that's
like
the time
prepping for
right now.
tomorrow and
Yeah,
like cleaning
prepping.
up the house and doing all that stuff because I hate waking up the next morning and seeing the
Yeah.
house in disarray. But
What a fresh start.
yeah. So, but I found that really interesting is
Mm-hmm.
that like if we lived our life according to the seasons, just go with the flow. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like how is the day? Like literally, like when the sun goes down, that's when we should.
You should be
really unwinding.
And I think I remember or reading or somebody said that like you should be asleep or in bed within the hour after the sun has
Wow.
gone down. That's when you
Interesting.
should be asleep.
Interesting.
Now, I don't know if you're supposed to wake up before the sun rises.
Right.
I don't know if that's supposed to be nature's alarm clock, like sun's up, time for you to get up.
I don't know, but we'll hear birds. Like I don't know if that
You'll hear birds before
before
dawn.
dawn, right?
And that's
so I don't know
probably-
if that's like an indication to
That's
us,
the
like
alarm
wake
clock.
up. I don't know. I just find it interesting, and like in the summer months, for example, like if people working out in the field, you're going to capitalize on all those hours, right? Like
Because you got more daylight.
exactly, and there's plenty of work to be done, out in the fields and stuff. So
It's time to sow
yeah,
and then was it harvest times normally in the fall, right?
yeah.
So
So I guess like just following the course of life, the way God intended it to be. Oh gosh, is it? What? Am I being a hippie right now?
I want to get you a bandana for our next episode.
But it ministers to me because
Multicolored,
it's like,
long.
okay, and what is it? The
John Lennon glasses.
John Lennon glasses, right? So it just ministers to me because I think like that's we don't get it. Like our culture is just
No, it's high speed,
yeah,
high pace,
constant high pace.
crank it out, get it done,
Yeah.
hurry up, and it's nice to just enjoy it.
Right.
Enjoy it, take it in.
Right.
Like I don't know, and I want more of that,
Yeah.
and that's something even also in myself that I know I have to work on
Sure.
because I just want to keep moving.
Yeah.
I could keep doing something, but that's
I do actually have to tell Tony like sometimes. I guess we do it to each other though, because there's times when you're like, "Can you just sit down?" Whatever. but I know Tony. He loves to like
I like doing stuff.
be doing things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Even at family gatherings, so it's like, what are we doing?
Right,
You know,
right.
if we're just standing around doing nothing, it's like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Cornhole, volleyball, something. There's
right.
like cards, something. Yeah, let's
Sure.
do something.
Yeah.
Let's have fun.
Yeah.
I like having fun.
Yeah. I mean, so in that regard, I guess it's not a bad thing because you're not doing things that are like stressful. You know what I mean? You're putting your energy toward things that you enjoy. You're doing things that you want to do. So, anyway, I guess we'll wrap it up now.
I think so. All right.
Okay. That's so awkward.
This is awkward.
Okay. Fruit awareness. Keep that in mind. That is something that has, in that conversation that we had, it really ministered to me, and hopefully it does.
I think it's a good antidote.
Yeah.
If you want to know if you're gonna, should I keep pushing? It's like, assess. Are you impatient?
Right.
Are you starting to lose it right now?
Right.
And no one's gonna sit here and think you're a hero. He's like, I could keep going.
Yeah.
That's pride, man.
Yeah.
That's pride. You're just doing it to yourself.
Right.
So, just take a tip from the Islanders. I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Manyan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Enjoy it.
I'm hoping that we get on that island time soon.
Yeah, Island time would be cool.
Yeah.
So if you guys like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. If there's anybody you know who would benefit from this, go ahead and send it to them. And we will see you next time here at Pillow Talk. My name. All right.
Okay.
I whip this into shape. Okay, let's try this again.